Aloha. All right. We're going to get into a new case today. I'll just jump right in because we have a guest. Oh, shit. I have my YouTube playing in the background. We're going to have a little bit of feedback there. Sorry about that. Today we're going to talk about a little girl named, her birth name is Ariel Sellers. And then she was adopted just recently out of the foster care system. And they changed her name, just her name. She was adopted with 3 of her siblings, so 4 children total. They changed her name to Isabella Kalua. So, just a little side note there. I found that very interesting. I'm not sure why they changed her name, and just her name, as far as I've been able to tell. But on September 13th, so the day after Gabby Petito went missing, she went missing in a place called Waimanalo, which is, if you're thinking of Waikiki, if you've ever been to Hawaii and you're in Waikiki, it's up around the bay there, going toward Kaneohe. So we have another case where we have some adoptive parents that have lost track of a kid. So I started doing a deep dive and I kept coming across this one creator. Her name's Sleuth Mom. A lot of the information I was able to find, she already had, or was a jumping off point for me to jump down another rabbit hole. So I reached out to her and she's graciously agreed to come on. And she started her channel back in September. She's So go give her a follow. Oh, I was gonna copy your No. Oh my God. Whoa, that was close. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
You don't have any sound. I'm not sure if it's just me or not, but I can't hear you. I think they can hear me, but still not you. Gotta love it whenever StreamYard does the audio tunnels. Hi, everyone. I think she's going to leave and come back. Nope. Still can't hear you. I think they can hear me, though. That's so weird. Do you want me to try leaving and coming back? It's so crazy because we were talking backstage just fine, and obviously she was talking just fine prior to this. So gotta love it whenever StreamYard goes crazy. We could have yeah, Charlie Chaplin. Yes, let's mime the entire case. Hey, I heard something.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, yep, you're
Oh
good.
my God. Okay, is this going to cause a huge amount of feedback? I'm talking to you just on the computer. I should probably have you in my mic or in my headphones. Let me see.
Okay.
I need different headphones, maybe. My headphones were not connected, I think is what it is. I am so sorry. I had this worked out already, and then you know what I did? I closed the tab. I closed my whole thing, my whole window that I had. My website's up, already queued up, ready to go. I've never been so ready to do a to do a
It's
thingy,
okay.
but
It happens. I
we're gonna
actually
wait.
closed out on accident the other day while I was talking to the grandma, and it ended up being a good thing though because I was getting the echo that it does sometimes, and nobody told me in the chat, so it ended up working out because then it was the sound was fixed for the rest of the video.
Well, at least there's that. At least we
Hmm.
have that. Well, if we sound great, I think we should just carry on like this, and I won't try to put you in the headphones again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, so tell us about your channel. You just started back in September.
Yeah, so I originally created my channel because I've been following true crime since 2019, I believe. Um, I just kind of started getting into it whenever I had my children. We had a local girl go missing, and when she was kidnapped, she was found about 15 miles from my house. So it really weighed on me. And then, of course, I jumped into the Daybell case and just the different cases that came up, Gannon Stauch. And I decided to start my own channel because I noticed that certain cases were just not getting any coverage whatsoever. And this is actually before Gabby Petito. I started my channel on September 11th. Gabby Petito, of course, went missing September 12th. Isabella went missing September 13th. So basically, just trying to, I'm only going to try to cover cases that aren't getting coverage, basically.
Right, right. You guys might hear my puppies in the background. One of them's a big boob. I promise she's not out there being tortured. She just makes it sound like that. I'm sorry that comes through like that, but you're absolutely right that the Gabby Petito case, it just basically eclipsed anything that happened for a solid month after that. And unfortunately,
Yeah,
that's
and
what
it's
happened with
sad
Ariel
because,
Sellers.
I actually I'm 6 hour time difference from you. It's after midnight here.
Right.
And
With you,
it was amazing that I even
Floridians.
heard about Isabella's case because at the time she was completely there was nothing about her. She had one
Right.
Facebook group. It was under 40 people.
Yep.
Whenever I first discovered her case, I didn't start the Facebook group. Somebody else did.
Hmm.
They did let me take it over though because they wanted me to help push this higher.
Right.
And basically what happened was I was listening to the radio station one day.
Hmm.
Our local church has a radio station, less than 40,000 people hear it.
Hmm.
And we have a pastor in Hawaii that asked for prayer for Isabella Kalua that was missing.
Right.
If I looked her up
Oh,
and just,
wow.
yeah. So it
Power
was really
prayer.
like, yeah, yep. It was really, and I had to make a video about her then because she had nothing. She had not one video, not even
Mm.
psychics, like nobody was making anything about her. Her face, they had just stopped the searches. It was September 20th whenever I found her case.
Right.
And then my I just started covering her case and digging deeper and deeper. And I've talked to the family now multiple times. I've talked to some of the reporters, a couple of the detectives. I'm just really
Yeah.
just knees deep in this.
Yeah, you have been busy. I mean, boots on the ground. I can imagine it's been just hours that you've put into it. Probably collectively days by now.
Yeah.
Like with
Yep.
all of the time you put in. Well, so pretend I've never heard about Ariel Sellers, also known as Isabella Kalua, and tell me all about it for the folks that haven't heard about it or folks that come watch this video.
Okay. Absolutely. So she went missing. She was last seen at 9 p.m. on September 12th. She was last seen wearing dark leggings, black hoodie, colorful socks, and black Nike slides with pink bottoms. They said that they put her to bed that evening at 9 p.m. and that whenever they woke up at 6 the next morning, they discovered that she was not there. Later, they determined that their door alarms, they have like electronic locks, showed the
Right.
door opening around 1:30 in the morning. They do have cameras on their home, but they're claiming they malfunctioned that evening, so they didn't see her
Interesting.
leave. Um, the morning of her disappearance, I have talked to most of the neighbors. They report that they did not see her adoptive parents out searching for her. They didn't see them go door to door. None of the cameras in the area picked her up leaving the house at any point in that evening. It didn't pick up like an abductor coming in and stealing her away. Like her neighbors all have footage of their driveway and the area surrounding their house. So that in itself, between what she was reported missing wearing and then the camera footage not working and the camera footage of the neighbors, raises red flags.
Exactly. That is very suspicious. That's an oddly specific outfit for Pete, considering they're saying they didn't see her leave. Then, right?
Right.
And
So
I
then,
wonder. Oh, oh,
no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
During the searches on September 14th, they found a photo album belonging to Ariel, and her older sister were in the pictures. They found it at the dump down the road
Mhm.
from their house. Now, the way that this dump works is it's fenced closed, and you have to, like, there's workers there, and you drive up, tell them what type of trash that you have, and they send you to which part of the dump you have to dispose of it. So, like, if you
Right.
have scrap metal or waste, you go to whichever area.
Right. A
It's been
convenience
reported.
center. Is it
Yes,
one of
yes, it's a
those? Yep.
convenience center. And then they take their trash by truck across the island to the actual dump at a later time, and it's like on a weekly schedule.
Right.
So the album was found at the garbage dump, and what happened was while searchers were there searching the area, they showed her picture to a group of homeless that live in that area. And whenever they did, there was a homeless person who got extremely upset instantly. And they were really worried because they knew that they had in their possession these pictures of this child. So they immediately turned it over to police. Um, they were questioned by FBI and HPD, and they were cleared of being involved in her disappearance. So on September 16th, the bag of toys was found. There is a difference. People think that it was a backpack. It was not a backpack. It's actually a garbage bag of toys, and I have a picture of that. And I'm hearing that um, the garbage bag of toys was actually placed there at a later date. It was in a canal. It wasn't initially there whenever they cleared the search areas the first time. It was placed there later, and it turns out that the homeless woman actually put that bag of toys there, from what I'm hearing, anyways. And it was because she was worried that she had additional evidence involving the case and was really concerned that this was all going to get pinned on her, essentially. Okay. And
Right.
then
Right.
that's also
You would
whenever
be.
they started putting like purple ribbons up to mark the search areas that were done. And so what she did was she put it in an area that was already cleared on purpose, essentially. And I have like Google Earth where I can show the whole area if people are interested in
Nice.
seeing that.
Yeah. Okay. I am not. Let's see. So, are you able to share? Does it give you the?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, sweet.
It
So you
does.
can share screen if you would like to.
Okay.
You can make us different like this, but we'll switch it like, how do I switch it? Hold on. Oh my gosh, my puppy.
Okay, so someone just asked when she was adopted by this family. Her adoption was finalized on January 26th of this last year. She had been in their care since late 2018 and the early 2019 is whenever they first started fostering them to adopt. Okay, so let me pull up. Oops. I don't know. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Oops. Okay, so this is her house up here. Make sure it's showing you guys the screen. Just for anyone who doesn't know the area, doesn't know where she lives. Okay, so this picture is about 4 years old, so it's not updated. They actually do have fencing now around their entire house, between 4 and 8 feet high, depending on which side of the house that you are on. But this is her house here. And the way that their fencing is, the only way she could have went out of this house is down through the driveway unless she jumped over the fence. They do have different neighbors, like I said, that have views of their driveway from their cameras. In this area, like whenever I started following this case, I started following like the Stolen Stuff Hawaii page, and
Yeah, that's a great
just
page. Oh my god.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like petty crime in this area, so I understand why people have cameras,
Yes.
basically.
Well,
So that was
there
the
is a huge homeless population on the island as a general rule, and they tend to go to places outside it. Like if they're down in Waikiki and stuff, they're going to get swept out, and so they tend to go to places on the island where there's less of a chance of them being. They call it compassionate interruption, and they go and they just like get out, move it at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So they go wherever they think that that's going to be least likely. And one of those places is unfortunately Waimanalo. There's a
yeah.
big homeless
Yeah, that's what I've heard
population.
is that there's a lot of homeless in this area specifically. And even whenever
Yes.
I pulled up the sex offender registry, there is
Mm-hmm.
a ton of sex offenders surrounding their house. So immediately whenever I started
Wow.
looking at her case, I was like, "Oh gosh, like
Yeah.
could she have been seen by one of these sex offenders?" There's none directly on her street,
Mm-hmm.
but 2 streets over there was 4. So I was
Wow.
very concerned that if she would have walked out her driveway and walked away,
Mm-hmm.
that she may have been abducted by a sex offender. But then I
Right.
found out how many cameras are in the area and the fact that
Yeah.
nobody ever seen her walk away. So that kind of ruled that out.
Right.
Obviously,
That's really
police also
strange.
investigated the sex offenders first.
Right. You would hope so. I mean, that's just basic, you know.
Yeah. And then the other thing is too, so like I said, the sex offenders are on this street basically.
Right.
And whenever you look at these yards, I don't know if you can tell, but there is
So everybody lives
fencing.
this far away from each other when you're in a neighborhood like that too. And when I like look out your bedroom window and see into somebody's living room, like
Mhm.
we're just packed in. Well, I live up on a mountain, but folks
Yeah.
that live down here in town, oh my goodness. Let me go get that puppy real quick. Maybe she'll be quieter.
So for everybody listening though, like the in between each one of these houses, there is fencing. So not only does her house have fences, but if you're at the neighbors trying to look through to her house, you can see on the Google Street View, you cannot see through these houses because of how congested it is. So the sex offenders, there's 2 that live over in these houses behind this tree line here. And
Okay.
if they were trying to like just happening to see her, basically, there's no way they could have looked through this row of houses and all these
Right.
fences to see her. Just no way.
Right. No. Nah, it's pretty congested. Well, it's an island, so there's not a lot of room. Like
Right.
it's literally like 35 miles across by 40 miles long or something. It's
Yes.
teeny.
Yeah, I measured it the one day. I was like,
Really teeny.
unbelievable, because it takes me the closest target to my house is over 50 miles away. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
I couldn't
Right.
imagine.
I'm from Idaho, so I lived outside of town all the time, which would have been the equivalent of driving from tippy tip to tippy tip.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's only a few roads through the middle, and so traffic gets pretty bad.
Right.
It's bad. Like going into North Shore, there's only like two roads going into there. Even going into Waimanalo, for that matter, there's only a few roads that go into there. You know what I mean, to certain parts. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're going to like the other side and you're taking H3, then you can get stuck on the high. If you've missed your exit, you could be waiting a long time before you get back on the road, like turned around back. So we measure in minutes here, like, because the distance doesn't really mean much, like sometimes 11 miles is 11 minutes, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, it could be 30 minutes to 45 minutes, it just depends. It
Yeah,
depends.
congested.
Hmm.
So then this is
Yeah.
the dump where her photo album was found.
Okay.
And like I was saying, it has like a little drive up area that you drive
Right.
in, and you either dump your trash at the recycling side or at the trash side.
Right.
And then the area where her photo album was found is down here at the Bellows. And this is like
Right. That's
a
so weird.
military area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was so
Yeah.
far away. So it looks really far away on the map. Like if you
No, that
zoom out
they're
and look at everything.
just that they're in separate places at all. Like the fact that they're
Mm-hmm.
not together. Like you would think the photo album and the
Yeah,
toys would be
I
together.
I think what happened was she was so well, it was a male and a female. I think they were so afraid that they had these items that they only turned over the photo album because they were afraid to get caught with it, and then dumped the
Right.
other items. Does that make
Ah,
sense?
that's an excellent theory. Yeah.
So, and it's only a mile, a little over a mile between these two locations. So it's not that far of a walk really. But this is what I like to refer to as like this is the triangle where everything has happened so
Right. Right.
far.
Right.
Like this is where the searches have been focused, um, and different stuff like that. So, and that's just to bring you guys into like the basic details of her case. As far as like the background history, oh wait, let me show you the bag of trash. Well, toys. So these items were in this garbage bag at the canal in Bellows. And this is the actual garbage bag and the actual toys that were found. It wasn't a
Oh, she
backpack.
brought her bucket with her little sand toys. She must have loved the beach.
Yeah. It's just
That's
it's just an odd
what.
like, okay, so if you were going to run away from home,
Right.
would you take your photo album? Like that kind of makes sense because,
Well, I'm
if you're going
what
to
I'm
miss your
curious of
siblings
is
or
if this
whatever.
is right. I wonder if that's her only picture she has of her family that she was adopted from too. Like I wonder if that's what that photo album
Right.
is. I'd be curious to know what's in that photo album.
I've
You're
heard
picking on your
like
baby.
speculations about the photo album, but nothing that I could feel comfortable sharing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I don't know it for sure.
Right. Right.
So just to
Exactly.
show you guys too, I have some pictures of her. This is her missing person flyer. We do have an $11,000 reward right now. Crime Stoppers offered $1,000, and then we had an anonymous donor give 10,000. So if you have any information about her disappearance, please call Crime Stoppers. She's 6 years old. She actually turned 7 on the 7th, or on the 6th. I'm sorry, on the 6th. So on Saturday is her birthday. So there's a lot of events planned for Saturday. There's somebody going to be at the park having cake
Mhm.
for her. We're asking anybody who is local to go up to the fence and put a purple item. There's going to be purple sashes for you to like write your name on, or a message to Ariel, and we're going to tie them to the fence. And then there is also going to be like balloon releases if you're not local, to video and put on the Facebook groups, basically.
Okay.
So
Right.
Ariel, let me see. Sorry. Whenever she was in her
Okay.
parents' care, she was
Mm-hmm.
always like a healthy looking baby. She never had any issues as far as, weight gain or health issues. She was always really healthy, her and her siblings. Their parents did have a drug history.
Yeah.
They still are struggling with that,
Right.
but and that's why they lost custody of their children. Whenever they lost custody, whoops, it's still going. Whenever they lost custody, initially, the grandmother on the mom's side took custody
Right.
of the children. The
Uh-huh.
father's side of the family had been disconnected, as far as talking, for about a year prior to everything happening. Uh, just, how families feud and stuff. And so
It
they weren't
happens.
talking. Yeah, it
Right.
happens.
Right.
So whenever
Right.
everything happened, nobody reached out to the father's side of the family
Uh,
because nobody even thought of it, because they hadn't been
right.
talking for so long.
Huh. Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the
Did so
parents
he
lost
didn't.
their home and lost custody, and then grandma had custody, and she eventually lost custody whenever her significant other had a car accident, and they deemed her like basically unable to take care of the children at that point and put them with the Kaluas.
Right. Yeah. That. But there was no abuse happening in her home,
No,
correct?
there was
Like
no
it was
abuse. There
so.
is
It
no
was
allegations of
only they
abuse.
felt. Right. They just felt that she was overwhelmed, and so they
Mm-hmm.
took the kids away and placed them with the Kaluas, who
Correct.
renamed only her. Right. They only renamed her.
So they renamed her, and I have heard they renamed the second youngest sister.
Mm-hmm.
They changed her name to Lily because originally all the children had A names.
Right. Okay.
But it makes sense to change the baby's name. Do you know what I mean?
Right. The
Whereas
baby. Yeah.
to
The baby
change
won't know
to
any
change
difference.
a 5-year-old or 6-year-old's name, like, it's just weird to me
Right. I
anyways.
mean, that's so bizarre. And hmm. Yeah, so the baby's adoption has not gone through yet, right? I mean,
No.
that's there's a hearing on that coming up. I had
November 16th, and there's supposed to be a rally. We have a petition that we put out,
thingy,
um has almost 1900 signatures, and
right?
we're basically trying to fight to make sure that this adoption doesn't happen, because number 1, the police have said that foul play has not been rolled out. Number
Hmm.
2, the police have also said repeatedly that there are certain people who will not come forward. It says we have conducted numerous interviews. However, there are still individuals, to include acquaintances and family members, who have yet to come forward to be interviewed. Was their last statement to KITV.
Hmm.
And so just that in itself, it's just like, well, who's not coming forward?
Bizarre. Yeah, why wouldn't you come forward like immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can
Yeah.
put. I'm gonna try to
So
put like
whenever the children went into the Kalua's custody, at first they were everything went fine. Melanie was getting to go for visits. Grandma Barb was getting to go for visits, to see the children, and they were following the guidelines for that, because CPS has all their own rules with stuff like that.
right.
And
Yes, I had those pulled up
eventually
on a
they
little. I can pull those up actually.
yeah, great.
Let me get those.
Eventually, though, there was a preschool teacher who started reporting abuse, and then Melanie was also reporting abuse to CWS. And
Hmm.
whenever that happened, basically the caseworker made it so that Melanie could no longer see the children.
Hmm. Did they offer her like treatment or anything like that, or?
As far as I know, I can't speak to the facts of what all they offered her, honestly, because I've talked to the family about it, but at the same time, it's not relevant to her disappearance, so I've never really dug into it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's just so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. Now I can't. Let me see how. This. I wish I still had my pages pulled up. Sleuth Mom. I
Oh,
just.
for the
That's great. It's a
which
good thing
one?
I wasn't super nervous right before the show, huh? What do you What do you do?
So
We'll get
you
there.
see her though, like she had you see her, this is the first photo after
Hmm.
their visits stopped with the parents, with the biological parents, whenever they stopped being allowed to see her. This is Easter. And
Right.
you can see she has a black eye
Yep.
and
She
she
got
has
that.
a bruise on her arm.
Yep.
And she is the only child in this picture. I cropped everyone else out, but she is the only child in this picture that's not smiling. Like she looks completely miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then as you go on, you see they cut her hair completely off.
Right. That
She
looks like
has
it's
a
growing back from being shaved, actually.
mhm. Yeah, and she has like a cut on her face here. And let me just say, there are some people, who are outdoorsy types of kids and they get hurt a lot. These
Right.
children are not allowed out of this house. The neighbors have told me time and time again that they never see the children outside. They don't go outside to play. They're not outside unless there is a cookout under the garage. And even then, the
Right.
children don't get to go out and play in the yard. They are stuck right where their parents are, the
But
adoptive
yeah, we're supposed
parents.
to believe that she may have gone out to the yard to sleep in the yard because that's something she did at 6 years old, is go outside.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's one of the allegations. So in that statement, okay, so their initial statement to
right.
to the police and to the locals was that, she would never wander off. She was not that type of child. A week
Right.
later is whenever the lawyer came out and said, "Oh, well, she used to sleep in the yard." And it's important to note too that they never sat down with police. They gave a 2-hour recorded statement from their lawyer, like talking to their lawyer and answering questions through him. And that's what they turned over to police as their statement. And that's what the lawyer considers cooperating.
What? Okay. All right. I mean, that's an interesting
Yeah, they're
interpretation.
like, honestly, like they took a page out of Brian Laundrie's book because they basically just
Yeah.
lawyered up and have sat here quietly since. They
Right.
haven't shared flyers, they haven't shared any information, like they
Not
just
a thing. Mm-mm.
not a thing.
No. They don't even want people coming down their street because that's invading their space. They feel like, right. I had read something about that. Like,
Someone said, Sleuth Mom, tell them about the broken bones. So in October of 2019, she had a broken finger, and they alleged that that was from getting shot in the car door. And then in
right.
January of 2020, 4 months later, she had a broken leg. Now, one of those injuries did not immediately receive care. I believe it was the hand. And I've heard different things, that it was just the finger, and then somebody else had said that it was the bones down by her palm, like that were
Right.
broken by her finger there. So I've heard
That,
it both ways. Now,
yeah.
the thing with the whole trampoline incident that she broke her leg on, it's odd to me because adoptive kids are like foster kids. She was still in
Right.
foster care at the time. They're
Right.
not allowed by law, like according to their guidelines, to even jump on trampolines. They're also
Really?
not allowed to get haircuts.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Really? Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, because they can't put them in any situations that could, like, cause harm, and trampolines are dangerous.
Right, and you're also not supposed to. I cannot believe. Okay, so I mean, I know people when they do the crime and they do the time and etc. But violent crimes, like the foster or the adopted dad. Well, first the foster dad, and then he became the adoptive dad. Had quite the
Yeah,
checkered past.
he does. He has 2 second-degree assaults in his history, 1 attempted
Right,
second-degree assault, and 1 first-degree terroristic threats. And for those
right.
charges, he received 5 years probation. The mom, Lehua, she also has a drug charge on her background check that was dismissed after doing a court-appointed program. And then she has filed for bankruptcy since then as well. Which, so they violate the... Oh, you can't barely see it because it's so blurry.
Oops, she jumped out. Hold on, she'll be back. No worries. It's not like that's something I haven't done in this exact stream. So, yeah, she'll be back. She'll be back. So while she's doing that, I'm going to look up this. It is called the Hawaii State Adoption Assistance Program because I find it very interesting in regards to this case. And I'm going to try to pull up the website so we can follow along and read it together. So give me just a second here. It should be right here in, nope. Okay, hold on. I bookmarked it on my phone. I thought that would make it jump into, but it didn't. That didn't work. That's all right. Okay. I'm getting a cramp in my leg. Hold on 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I will be right with you after these messages. Okay. All right. Now, one might think that when you adopt a kid out of the foster care system that because you get foster care payments or whatever, right? So, oh, there she is. Hold on. Wait. She's back. Aloha. You're back.
I'm so
You're
sorry.
back. It's okay. I was saying it's not like I didn't just do that. I did it too. It's my flipping show. It's all right. We're winging it. We got this. Yes, I was just about to read this. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Hawaii Adoption Assistance Program. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yes.
So let's go to that. Because I found it very interesting that even after being adopted out of the foster care system, they are still eligible for services. Well, basically services, yeah, because you're automatically eligible for Medicaid. And there is a monetary stipend that is given to the parents to help ease the burden of the
yeah, they still get paid.
They still get paid. They still get paid. So here we have the Hawaii Adoption Assistance Program. And if we scroll down here, what is adoption subsidy? Well, parents who are thinking about or are in the process of adopting a child with special needs from foster care should know about adoption assistance, also known as adoption subsidy. The federal Title 4E and state, often called the non-4E adoption assistance. I'm drooling. I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I'm really hydrated. Are designed to help parents meet their adopted children's varied and often costly needs. So children can qualify for federal adoption assistance or state assistance depending on the child's history. Now, at that point, let's go ahead and skip down because this is a bunch of below and etc. and so on and so forth. You can go to the website and check that stuff out. Who's eligible? That's what we all want to know. So who does Hawaii define special need, or how does Hawaii define special needs to determine eligibility? Well, a child with special needs is defined as a child that has had that has at least one of the following needs or circumstances that may be a barrier to adoption without financial assistance. If they're 4 years old or older at the date of adoption placement, boom, there you go. That's her. But also race and
Also, the fact
race,
that there is a sibling group.
right there, 2 or more, and it was 4 of them. And so automatically all 4 of the kids are eligible for that adoption benefit, which actually comes out to, it winds up being, so we have a little chart down here.
It's important to know too, CWS, the way that their system works, they actually get a kickback each month.
Yes.
For every child adopted outside of care, outside of the biological family.
Correct.
So they get this kickback, and then they also have quarterly quotas that each social worker has to meet of like fostering children outside of care. So it was beneficial for this social worker and beneficial for this family financially, and to meet her quotas for these children to get adopted. Now, here's the real kicker. The woman who is in charge of their fostering is best friends with the adoptive mom and with the adoptive brothers, like the uncle, his girlfriend. She has commented on the YouTube videos. Wow. Yes. She has commented on the YouTube videos, and we also had a social worker comment in the Facebook groups, the supervisor.
Right.
Actually, 2 now, because we had another one today. So it's like they are all tied up in this money-making scheme off of these children, basically.
Yes. And so what they could eat, it's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. And it's not like we don't have corruption here in Hawaii, because we've had a kind of big, huge problem with that lately. We got some federal indictments and crap happening now. Where the police department was all connected together with the drug lord, who was like a criminal enterprise. I mean, it sounds like it's straight out of a movie, but it's not. It sounds like it's straight out of an episode of frickin' Magnum PI, but it's not. It's like the real deal shit that's happening.
No, and that's why it's so important for us to bring so much light to her case, because this is exposing so much. I don't know if you've seen the live earlier that I did, but
I did. I saw it after.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the lawyer is also connected to Michael Miskey, and it's just, it's a whole nother level of corruption in this case that needs exposed. And that's why it's so important that we need everybody to see this, so that they can't hide it no more.
Right. I actually was kicking around the thought today. I wondered, and I don't know, tell me what you think about this, but where he is connected to that whole, or possibly allegedly, this is allegedly. This is just
allegedly.
Allegedly. Don't sue me. I'm poor. Don't worry about it. You won't get nothing. Got to get in line behind student loans, and as we all know, you're screwed. I'll be paying them till I die. So yeah, but anyway, allegedly, Sonny was involved a little bit with Mike Misk, and now we have this connection with the attorney who's a good friend of his, and he's representing another person in the Mike Misk case that's going on right now. And then Misk is connected to the K Aloha case, which is the police department and like the police chief and, people from the DA's office, I believe, or something to that effect. It just is insane, because here gambling is illegal completely. There's no lottery. There's no nothing. And then you have fireworks. Those are illegal. They're not legal at all. You can't have as much as a sparkler. We get poppers, those little poppers where the little, the shit flips out the end and it makes a little popping noise, and the little crackers where you can step on them, and that's it. That's the extent of our fireworks. And as you saw in my intro video, all of those going off, maybe 1% of those fireworks have a permit, and the rest are illegal. So there is a healthy black market here for a lot of things.
Yes.
And so and everyone is flipping really poor. Like, wages suck. You can't afford to live here. It's really insulting to a lot of the to Native Hawaiians that where their families have lived here for generations and they get priced out of their homes with like property taxes, where their house is paid off, but they'll come in and just keep raising up the property taxes to where they can't even afford it anymore and take that from them. And then you got some, I mean, like it is an issue. And so anytime you have that much of a wealth disparity, then you're going to have a really healthy black market and a really healthy, underground crime syndicate.
Yeah, and it's sad because like you guys have a ton of missing children, a ton
Yes.
of,
We're an
and
international hub. Like you can
yeah,
come here and you can go anywhere in the world from right here.
yeah, it's
So,
sad.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yeah. It's an issue. And I feel so my heart goes out to those homeless people that found themselves right in the middle of it. Now I'm glad that you said it was at that dump because I was under the impression it was at like a dumping site, like a
No,
when they
so
said dumping site, I thought it was like an illegal dumping site because you see a lot of that here too.
No, and the odd thing about that dumping site is the uncle that lives in the home with them,
Right.
he worked at that
Right.
dump for several years
Mhm.
and he knows their schedule. So like when the trucks would be leaving to take trash out of the dump to be incinerated, etc.
Right.
So the
Right. Right.
speculation is, did he try to get rid of these items and the dumpster divers just happened to find them
Right.
before the
Right.
trash could have gotten taken out of there? Obviously,
Yeah.
we don't know, but
Yeah.
it just, like I said, speculation. But
Right.
Lehua's brothers have a very colorful past, as well as her
Yes.
stepfather. And then
I
they have
saw
a
that.
lot of, like, they're very openly posting pictures of drugs and stuff on their social media. Like
Right.
they very
Oh,
openly flaunt it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And like
Um,
I don't know. I'm not here to tell people how to live their lives. It just, whenever you're taking children out of a drug situation and then you're putting them in a situation with people with felonies in their background, people that openly use drugs, people with drug charges, it just makes you think, well, why didn't you just leave them with their family?
Right. And for that kid, it's just normalizing that behavior when they're going from place to place to place. That's
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like, hey, I guess everybody's like this. This must be what life is like. One day I'll get to try drugs. And, I mean,
Yeah, it's sad.
it really
The whole case
normalizes
is
it for the
sad.
kid on a level that's not cool, you know? And I've heard you say on your videos before that you feel like they should follow these people a little bit into the adoption or whatever. And I fully agree with that. I absolutely do. Because, I mean, you're taking a kid out of one bad situation, and I really feel like the state owes it to that kid and I'm saying this from a place of a former foster kid,
So, and it would just be for
they owe it
protection of the children.
What's that?
Whenever you look at the adoption statistics, kids that were adopted have a 45% more chance to die in custody.
Yeah.
These are kids that are supposed to be taken out of bad situations and put somewhere that is better. And
right.
So why do they have a 45% more likely to die? Like, that's
right.
awful. It shouldn't be like that. But you look at cases like Isabella, Hawaii, their rules state that if you were already in care of the foster family for at least 2 years, you don't have to have any follow-up visits after adoption. So once she was adopted on January 26th, that is the last time that someone checked on her. That's it.
And then she was pulled out of school in June.
She was pulled out of school in June.
That's really weird too, because that's right at the very end of the school year. So
yes, and
one wonders if that was due to an attendance issue.
Well, she was social distance learning. She was never physically in the school for kindergarten. So in preschool, she was pulled out of preschool early because the teachers were reporting abuse, is what I have been told by a preschool teacher. So then kindergarten, she went through social distance learning because of COVID. And then in June, they pulled her out officially to homeschool. Now, mind you, her adoption was finalized in January. From January until August, you do not see a picture of her without long sleeves on.
Mm,
She always has long sleeves. And
wow.
then there are actually pictures of her with the whole family. Nobody has a face mask on but her. And it just makes you wonder, what were they covering in these pictures? You know,
Mm,
she's sitting with her family. They're all smiling, sitting there, the adoptive family, and she's wearing a face mask. And I can show that picture if you'd like.
go ahead.
Um,
Yeah.
Let me pull it
Please
up
do. I
here.
lost all of my visual aids right at the freaking beginning. So I have some pictures over here. I have pictures I can show, but that's about it.
Let me pull it up. And so it's like, you know, it almost looks as if they were hiding abuse. And you have to add my, there you go.
There we
Whoa,
go.
that's really trippy.
Woo! Oh, that reminds me of like standing in a 1980s bathroom with all the mirrors.
So this is her in the middle. This is her 2 younger sisters and her older sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's Lehua. But why is she wearing a face mask in their house and she's the only one wearing it?
Yeah, that is bizarre. Like basically, you take the mask off as soon as you don't need it anymore. We are really high on the mask usage here, but even still, you see people walking through the parking lot with them pulled down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wear it all the
Right.
way to my
Well,
car, but
but
that's
in
just me.
your own home too.
But in your own home, yeah, that is
And to take a
not
selfie. Like, just the whole
normal,
situation is weird.
right?
In my opinion, anyways. I mean, that's all I really
Yes,
have is my opinion. I can't
that's
speak
all
to
we.
factual information about
Well,
any of
that's what
this,
we're
but
here to do is opine. We're here to like give our opinions and speculations on this and try to get this out, and hopefully, we'll be proven wrong, and but like I
this is the last photo of
am
her
mindful.
in short sleeves. This is right after the adoption.
Look at the way she's
Every
looking at whoever's taking the picture. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, and she looks awful. Like,
Yeah.
her Hawaiian color is just gone. Like, she had like a golden skin before she was adopted, and she's just
So
so
not going
pale.
outside, right?
Yeah. And she's just so pale, and it's just, she's lost so much weight, and it just, it really makes you wonder.
Yes. Well, I am not keeping up in the comments at all. Let me go over here and see what folks in the comments are saying.
Whoa.
I completely forgot to keep track of that. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
Were
gonna
the
go.
other kids interviewed? The older one might know something. So Scooby, whenever the interviews happened, the older one wouldn't speak, like she was terrified. So she had an uncle sitting with her and she wouldn't talk at all. The second time she was interviewed, she finally admitted that there is in fact cameras on the house because they were just trying to ask her like basic questions. And
Mm-hmm.
she admitted to there being a camera on the house, but then that's all the further the conversation went. After that, she shut down and wouldn't speak. And so it makes you
Yeah.
wonder, like, why is she so scared?
Right. She's traumatized. She's traumatized.
And the children are currently placed in separate homes. They're not all together, which is also, it's
Right
sad.
now.
Yes, they're currently in
Oh my
different homes.
god. Oh
Hmm.
man.
Yeah, they took all 3 of them and they're in different locations. So not
Wow.
only did they lose their sister, they lost their foster parents, which we don't know if they're good or bad people. We have no clue how it actually is.
Right.
And they lost each other now as well.
Right. Oh, I started to ask you about a theory where Sunny is connected to this whole Mike Mintz thing. Like, geez, I hope that's not part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hope it's not either,
to
but
keep him
I
silent
will
or
say that the
whatever.
grandma on my live stream the other day, um, the parents and the grandma think that trafficking could be an issue.
I wonder about that because I mean, that's an issue here. That happens. Like human
Right.
trafficking.
Right.
So, like, people of all ages can get trafficked here. You can get sold onto, like forced labor on a ship. Like, pretty soon you're working on a cat food ship out in the middle of the ocean where there's no jurisdiction from anybody. So, what are you going to do about it? You're going to work or you're going to get thrown off. So, like,
Mhm.
and that happens. So, you have it like all ages, but children trafficking is also like there. It was actually a big issue. There was a thing with Marshall Islands. I'm gonna deep dive into that. But like that reminds me of that, like where they were using Hawaii as a hub because the Marshallese were very open to adoption, but they also thought that they would get to see their child again at 18 or whatnot, and people were being tricked into signing adoption papers without really understanding what they were signing, and so they cracked down on it. But so people would have the mother to be come to Hawaii and give the birth here, and thereby skirting the laws of the Marshallese, and kids were getting adopted out. So there was like a huge surge in adoptions, which is suspect, and that was like, oh gosh, I want to say it was the mid 2000s. I'll do something on that. Thanks for reminding me of that. But yeah, like it's a thing. It's something to be worried about,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody in the
They don't
comments just
talk about
said
it
that they
because
think that they're
prison.
confused because they thought that the foster parents killed her. We don't know what happened to her at this
Yeah.
point. No one has they obviously haven't found her deceased anywhere yet. We don't know if she's dead or alive. I would like to think that she's alive. I can hope that she is alive. Um we don't know. We don't know if they're even involved. I personally my opinion, because of things that I have been told about the uncles and their involvement in this case, I personally think it's a possibility that they were trafficking her and that something went wrong and she never got to come home. I don't know if the adoptive parents have any knowledge outside of the guilty knowledge of knowing that she was being trafficked. I don't know
Right.
if I mean this could have been a thing where they were violent and killed her and disposed of her. I'm not sure. But the last time that anyone seen her outside of this immediate family was August 16th. Whenever the
Mm,
dogs searched the
right.
property, they did not pick up any scent of her, so they had
Hmm.
no scent to follow. So she could have been
Wow.
possibly missing for 2 to 3 weeks before she was reported missing.
Does the family have a boat?
I don't know.
Mm. Wow, that's just yeah. So yeah, we're just kind of looking at all options is what we were doing. Is it Sophie that said that? Yeah. Yeah. I really kind of it's hard not to think the parents are involved. It really is. But if like I don't know if you were following the case of the little girl that came up missing in Australia. She was found, and I would have thought that her parents might be involved in that too. Like I was 50-50, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
like 50% of me thought the parents could have been involved, so, and that
Unfortunately, it
turned out to
happens so
be
much.
right.
96% of missing children
Yes.
go missing at the hands of someone they're related to.
Right. So we can kind of devil's advocate, and like it could be child trafficking, it could be kidnapping, it could be a number of things. But statistically, unfortunately, you know, I mean, it's, you know, it's normally a not a person that the child knows explicitly, that either, oh, I don't even want to say it, but like it's hard not
She
to think that.
she's 6. She was adopted. Her adoption was finalized in January. She's been in their custody since she was 3 going on 4.
Right. And they changed her name just recently, or do we even know when they changed her name?
They changed her name with the adoption on January 26th.
So they just suddenly just started calling her another name, which could not have been good for the trauma that she was going through.
Mhm.
It's just, oh, puppy.
Yeah, flower child, bruises. It's all suspicious.
Right.
Very sus.
Exactly. The last time she was confirmed seen was August 16th, she said.
Yeah, August 16th is the last time whenever someone outside of these people living in the home has come forward saying that they seen her.
Hmm.
And that was an adoptive aunt who gave that information.
Right. So the other thing is the youngest isn't adopted yet, so technically they still have one foster child, correct? Like that's, I mean, in theory, when she went missing, there was a foster child in the home, so maybe they should have been keeping better track of even that
Yes, they
kid.
still have one
You know,
foster, and then the two other sisters were adopted.
her birth name is Ariel, and Isabella is the name that when she was renamed. Exactly, it gives you some Summer Wells kind of vibes there, doesn't it? With the whole hair cutting. And you have to wonder if people that are committing crimes right now don't follow true crime already and are taking in what's happening in those cases and using the tips and
You have
tricks
a
of like the
troll in your
laundry
chat.
family. Oh crap. Bye. See ya, sir. Does it take them all out? Yep. Just like that.
Yep.
Got him.
Seems like police are dragging their feet. Seems like lots of reasons not to look too hard, protect the adoption racket. Yeah, so um the police in this case, you know, I don't know if they are dragging their feet so much as they are keeping a lot of things quiet because they don't want to let out information that could hurt the case. With the fact that they're being investigated by the attorney general right now as a police force because of what happened, I doubt that they would I would hope that they wouldn't be doing anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because they're under a microscope right now.
Right. Right. Exactly. Well, and foster care has been an issue in Hawaii also. I had an article about that. Let's see if I can. You know what? I've got it pulled up on my phone. I could just read. Let me see
The
here.
social worker who's involved in her case that's friends with the family, she actually has been sued on two different occasions for not doing her job correctly. For not offering care to the bio family and um for not following the information, like what her procedures properly. She's been investigated twice now and sued by one
Wow.
family, not two. Yeah. Yeah, she's got a
Huh.
lot of dirt.
Yeah, it seems
She
like they
needs
can't
to be
really screw
fired
up enough to
immediately.
get fired, So that's what a great job to have, I guess. What So I had found an article that was in the Honolulu Civil Beat about Hawaii put a woman on a child neglect case, and now she can't fight it. That's one thing where they put her on a neglect registry because she was fighting with her husband. Basically,
Mhm.
I can just read the article. Um, as a child, Julia Milam followed around her grandmother, a certified nursing assistant, as she took care of patients, some of whom stayed at their home. Her grandmother showed her how to use the blood pressure kit and stethoscope and how to feed patients. Milam was captivated by the sight of her grandmother comforting those in need and could see the appreciation etched on their faces. She decided she would one day become a nurse. After graduating from high school, she got her nursing assistant certification just as her grandmother had. Today, she's finishing the courses that would allow her to apply to nursing school, everything from biochemistry to anatomy. She overcame squeamishness to complete the lab in which she had to dissect a sheep's brain. But the dream of becoming a nurse will likely slip through her fingers for a reason that has nothing to do with her determination or aptitude. Instead, she's caught up in a catch-22 in which the state marked her for life as a neglecter of her children, but never told her the implications or gave her a chance to appeal. In 2012, the state took custody of her 2 children after child welfare workers concluded she had failed to prevent them from seeing fights she was having with her boyfriend. That's considered a form of neglect here. Milam, while acknowledging her boyfriend battered her, denies that the children ever saw it, a fact that she says is borne out in police reports. Without notifying her, the state put her name on a list of people confirmed to have neglected or abused their children anyway and put them at risk of that. If Milam were to become a nurse, the hospitals and other health care facilities that would hire her would first be required by law to check the child abuse registry. Potential employers would be barred by law from hiring her in any position that involved contact with patients or residents. She could have fought that in 2012 had she known that being put on a registry would have had such dire consequences. Now there's apparently nothing she can do. My kids and I once again will be punished for a man choosing to beat me, she wrote in an email. An unknown number of people were also put on the registry without notice before 2015, but like Milam, they apparently have little recourse. Milam's future was tangled up in a snare unknown to most people. Every U.S. state maintains a registry of people believed to have abused or neglected a child. These registries began in the 1960s as a way for those who dealt with child abuse and neglect, doctors and social workers, for instance, to maintain information for internal use. Over the years, the use of child abuse and neglect registries expanded. Legislatures required them to be consulted in screening foster or adoptive parents, people who work in daycares, and in Hawaii at least, hospitals and healthcare facilities. It became something to deprive people of employment and other things, said Robert Hatch, a Honolulu lawyer representing the plaintiff Courtney Bird, who was not notified her name had been put on the registry, preventing her from later adopting a child. The Department of Human Services pointed out that Hawaii law requires it to maintain a registry and that it is one of several factors crucial to determining whether a home is safe for children. With a person's permission, we can also provide this kind of context to third parties like employers who must also use registry checks to understand a person's history and whether they're able to care for children or other vulnerable people. She said that the federal law mandates when DHS must remove someone from the registry, adding, "We work with the confines of the state and federal law to maintain this registry and achieve our mission of keeping children safe. All states use registries for employment and screen potential foster or adoptive parents, according to the federal survey. In Hawaii, Department of Human Services handled 6,445 registry checks in 2018, including 3,362 from employers. The others were for people seeking licenses to run a child care business or take foster care children, as well as other categories." So it's kind of like a sex offender database, but it's for child and neglect. And kind of my point to reading that is literally they can take children away from someone for a much smaller reason and they'll never be eligible to have a job in healthcare with any kids or to foster kids or to get their kids back. But they're so much more lenient with this particular foster family. I don't understand it because as a general rule, Hawaii's pretty strict about these things. And so it's difficult not to think that there's some kind of inside good old boys job happening there, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it goes beyond just the foster care situation too, because even with his background, Sonny somehow manages to work on the naval yard there.
Right. And didn't I see something about he worked at the docks too, didn't he?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And it,
So
it
did
makes
my
you
grand-
wonder, like, how is this possible? Like, all of the
Right.
things that are falling into place for this man,
Mm-hmm.
and for this family. It just, you can't help but wonder. You really can't.
Yeah. Good night, Connie. Thank you for coming.
Did you see the article as well about the CPS associate that used to be a murderer?
A murderer?
Yeah, they hired a CPS associate that was a convicted murderer and then later fired them. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It just came out recently because somebody just posted it in the group the other day. And I was like, unbelievable. Let me find it.
Yeah. A murderer. Oh my god. Wow. I know Sonny used to be a musician.
Yeah, so that's the other connection to that lawyer as well. The lawyer's wife actually plays music with Sonny.
Right. Right. And that community is fairly small, the musician community. You know, like it's like a small town. You know what I mean? A lot of musicians know each other. Do you know what I mean? Like for it being an island, there's a lot of people here, but it can sometimes function as a small town, you know, like in that everybody knows everybody in certain communities, and those communities know people in other communities, you know,
Mm-hmm.
outside of the hustle bustle of Honolulu and Waikiki, you know.
Here it is. Okay. The article says convicted murderers hiring in child welfare services exposes background check gaps. Hawaii Now News advocates for victims of domestic violence are calling for a change in the way the state hires people with access to vulnerable victims after a man who was convicted of and served time for murder in another state is now an employee of Hawaii's Child Welfare Services. Justin Boulay was 20 years old in 1998 when he killed Andrea Faye Will, his girlfriend, at Eastern Illinois University. Boulay wrapped a telephone cord around her neck and strangled her. He was convicted
What?
of the Yep. He was convicted of the
Oh my
high-profile
god.
murder and sentenced to 24 years, but only served 12 before he was out on parole. In 2010, Boulay moved to Honolulu to be with his new wife, a University of Hawaii assistant professor who he'd married while he was in prison. He stayed out of trouble since and only has traffic tickets on his record search. In 2019, he was hired as a special assistant with the State Department of Human Services in the Child Welfare Services Division. His role gives him direct contact with foster kids and others who have been abused. So, like, you guys hired him.
Right.
Honolulu hired him to
What?
work in the child welfare system, even though he murdered someone. If that doesn't show you, like, the flaws in your
That's
system
who's
there,
approving. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like, of course they're going to let Sonny with just assault charges adopt people because, we're letting murderers be the employees.
It's like leaving a wolf to babysit the sheep. Like, what is
Yeah.
that? You know, I mean,
Yep.
that is astounding. My mind is freaking blown. My mind has just been blown left and right with this. I was talking to Jamie Swim. I don't know if she's still in here. We were talking about that today. That like you don't hear about it. You just don't hear about it. And so I really kind of thought she might have been bound. And the fact that they didn't do an Amber Alert because we didn't see a car, like I think that whole like we can't do an Amber Alert unless they know what kind of car.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we just do a
Mountain
just an
Girl,
Amber
you're right.
Alert?
This is identical to the West Boys. Identical.
Yes.
I've been posting about that case in the group as well because it is, the dynamics are all the same, and this is what's showing the hole in the foster care system in the United States. If you go to Switzerland, for example, they do checkups every 3 to 6 months on their children who have been adopted until they're 18
Right.
years old. Why
Yep.
don't we have that here? Why
We
aren't
should.
parents required to take these children to a doctor or have home visits unexpectedly? And I mean,
Mm,
and this isn't even a failure of we don't have enough associates. It's the law. They don't even require checkups in Hawaii at all
right.
after care. So it's like, it's a flaw in our system and it needs to change, because we would have a
Right.
lot less of these foster kids just disappearing if this wasn't going on the way that it is.
Yes. Yeah, it sure seems like there are a lot of reasons that they have for not looking into this. And I'd sure like to find out what all of them are so that they can have to prove us wrong, because I do feel like the health and welfare service here, the Child Protective Services, I think they call it, it's a CWS. I forget what it stands for off the top of my head because I lost all my notes, but that's okay.
There's a
not about
case
it
that
at
I'm
all.
looking at right now in Pennsylvania as well. It's the same type of situation. The little girl is in foster care. Her name is
Hmm.
Kadar Williams. Whenever she
Hmm.
went missing, almost 2 weeks ago now, they only put up a picture of just her face, like, and it's so zoomed in that you can't really tell what her body type is. All
Right.
the flyers have differences between her information, and so it's like, how are we supposed to look for these kids that are in this system? Because if the biological families don't come out and make waves whenever they go missing, no one
Right.
does,
Right.
and they just get adopted or put into foster care, and then they just disappear and nobody looks.
I don't agree with the whole, like, when they go into foster care, that they cut off the extended family either, because the extended family may be what that kid needs. I
Right.
mean, you lose your grandma and grandpa too. You lose all your aunties and uncles too. Like, it's that must be horrible for a kid. And if they allowed in these foster adoptions for the family to keep in touch, that would be another set of eyes on that kid to make sure that they were doing well and thriving the way that they should be. You know, I don't know. They, I feel for the grandma, Julie. I watched your video that you had about her. I think that's the one that I shared on my community
I'm
post.
trying right now to look in the connection. Sorry. I got like a lag going. Hold on. My Wi-Fi just like tried to reboot, I think. Um I'm trying right now to look in the connection between workers weren't helping to disappear these children and put them in homes where they were associated with these people and a trafficking type of web. And I mean, I probably shouldn't for my own safety and for my own children's safety, but I
Right.
really think that there might be ties within this that goes much deeper and much larger than what we're thinking. This isn't your
Yeah.
typical the parents just killed the kid case, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. To be honest, I've never really been afraid to cover a case, and if there was ever a time I was gonna say I'm afraid, like I'm nervous about it, it would be this one right here,
Yeah.
because
Well, this is kind of
it's crazy.
closer
It's
to you than
crazy.
me.
Right. Right. But like here now, if they off me now, everybody will know, because I don't. Now I've
That's
gone
true.
live. We're good.
That's very
We're good
true.
now. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just too interconnected. Oh, I was gonna pull up something about the K Alohas. Like, that is some crazy stuff. K Alohas and yeah, just a quick.
Every time that I talk about the underground connections and the mafia, mob, whatever you guys call it there, my husband's always like in the background, like, shut up. That's why I
So,
went live about the misconnection while he was at work today, because I know he would have been like
yes,
trying to unplug my microphone.
you're live streaming from the bathroom, and then you guys, let me just tell you what happened after that. Who are you talking to? Nobody, honey. Anyway, you guys, guess what? Guess what else I found out? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Like, okay, so we were talking about Sunny having a job down at the docks. You know who else is down at the docks? Mike Misk. Like,
Right.
it, yeah, it's nutty. So this weekend, I'm gonna try to get someone to drive me so that I can go on a little trip, so that people can get like a visual, like, because you've been doing the Google Earth, and I feel like I could add to that. So hopefully we can coordinate that, and we'll go to some of those places that we were talking about. But here, let me see. So we have attorney says Mike Misk has ties to Kealoha corruption case. There is a guy, I had his thing pulled up. He's an ex-cop, and he talks about this.
Yes,
He's
I
done some
watched his
videos on
video
like,
earlier today.
yeah,
That was awesome.
yeah, yeah,
And it was a really
yes,
good, like, just the facts video. If somebody is not interested in hearing my speculations or opinions, that's a great
right,
video to watch that is literally just the facts. And there's not very many, unfortunately.
right.
Not publicized anyways, you know. Like I said, I talk daily to the family. Um, I've talked to
Oh
some of the
shit.
reporters covering the case. I've talked to a couple of the detectives. And so I do have information that like I can't necessarily put out and different stuff like that, but I kind of put it out in a speculation standpoint sometimes. But,
Yeah,
you know, if you're looking at just the publicized facts, that was a great video for that this afternoon.
yeah. Okay, my generator died. I'm back though.
Uh
Luckily, I have some solar too, so we're all right. But
oh.
okay, go back to this screen here. I found a little blurb about the K Alohas, so we'll just show you that right quick. Wait, what did I do? Oh, that wasn't it. Like this, and then like that, and then you gotta click here. Go over here to this one, and go. Okay, so we have Attorney Michael Misk, or attorney says Michael Misk is not an attorney. He's a pest control guy. He works at the dock. He owns nightclubs. Anyway, now I keep mentioning Mike Misk. I guess I should give a little overview of that guy. So right now he's on trial for basically racketeering, kidnapping, murder, murder for hire, all of that kind of stuff. His son got in a car accident with his roommate, and Mike really thought that his son was driving. Or, I mean, his son wasn't driving, that it was the roommate. But really, all the evidence points to it being the roommate. But Mike went ahead and got the roommate killed anyway because, he does what he wants. So we got federal prosecutor says the leader of an organized crime ring also has ties to the biggest corruption case in Hawaii history, which is the Ke Alohas. So, yeah. He got arrested for disobeying a police officer, but 2 days later, people from the Honolulu prosecutor's office told the officer and a sergeant to stand down. One of them was Catherine Ke Aloha. Cal says the second person to call was a retired HPD officer who was hired as a special assistant to the prosecuting attorney. Gave the order, and Catherine Ke Aloha followed the order out and abused her power and her authority as the career criminal deputy chief to instruct a police officer to leave a defendant alone, said Cal. She says the arresting officer then reported it to Lee, who then reported it to federal investigators. Lee made headlines when he was accused of DUI and fleeing the scene of a crash near Kaiser High School in November of 2016. Cal says Lee later testified later that day to the grand jury investigating Catherine Ke Aloha, and that Ke Aloha then tried to retaliate against Lee. So this is some pretty high up corruption. And then there was also, did you see that article that talked about a member of the CWS being threatened by a police officer to drop a case? I
Yep.
came up. Yep. I was going to pull that up too. Next time I'll be better prepared, y'all, and I won't close the tab. Maybe I'll even like double it, like I'll mirror it so there's an extra in case I screw up like that again.
At least we both did it.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
That
I know
makes it
you did
better,
that
right?
just to make me look good, right? I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Like fist bump. Oh wait. Yeah. There we go. All right, girl, we've been going for a while, so I should let you get to bed. You're way up way late and you got littles, and they sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Right
definitely
back.
it's 1:30 in the morning here, so
Wow. Oh my
but I
goodness.
appreciate you having me on and let me ramble on your channel.
I'm so
This
glad
is
you
all
came on.
about getting her face out here and spreading her
Exactly.
information as much as possible. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's put your channel link up here and let's see if I can find that. If I didn't delete that too. Yep, I did. Okay. That's all right. We'll look it up right quick because we want people to come follow you. I will follow you. Oh shit. You can't say songs on YouTube. Maybe I did it shitty enough no one will recognize it. Oh no. Okay. All right. And we got to there and then we go to here. Oh, this might be easier to do from my phone actually. Let's do that.
someone posted it, I think.
Excellent. Ping. Oh, ping is awesome. Thank you, ping. All right.
Yeah, thank
Yay.
you.
Yes, everyone please. Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, hit the like button, guys. Make sure you help not even just for this channel, but to raise this case. The way that the YouTube algorithms work is the more likes, comments, subscribes, all those things, that's how you get someone's face seen. So if you want to help out by, putting Isabella's face out there, the best thing you can do is help promote the videos that she's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So definitely go watch the videos on Sleuth Mom's channel because she has got them broke down. She's got going into finer detail in this and that and the other. I'm going to start just trying to make a lot of videos. We're going to try to do a true crime drive live drive, a true crime live drive. Yeah, something like that. We'll work on the name. Anyway, yeah, and I want to go down like around the coast and I'll just put like some dash cam action on and so you can see some cool scenery as we talk about it on the way there. And then I'm going to try to get with you. I sent you my number on email, but if you can
Okay.
think of some like good spots to go, I want to go to the different, places. We'll just do a little like drive by type,
Yeah,
drive
sounds
through
good.
and yeah. All right. So cool. Well,
All
sweet.
right.
All right.
Well,
Thanks
thank you
everybody
so
for
much.
coming.
Have
I
a good
really
night.
appreciate it. All right. You have a good night. All of you all have a good night. Aloha. You know I love you. Mwah. Okay, I'm going to awkwardly have this little pause here while I go and pull up my video to end it out here. Hold on a second. Okay. Oh, wait. No, stop, dude. Hold on. You got to wait to be shared. Okay, we're going to go like that. And then we're going to come over here like that. All right. Okay, now good night, everyone. Just about. I'm going to pop myself out of here and do my little outro video. And I will post in the community tab the next time I'm getting ready to go live because I'm little. And so my videos don't come up on a lot of people's notifications. So if you just keep an eye on the community tab, I'll try to keep you updated on there and put like fun stuff on there too. So, all right. Now I love you guys. Mwah. Aloha. Have a good night. Be kind to each other.
Yeah.